Good morning. My name is Suresh Chandra Menon, a small filmmaker based here in Chennai. Don't believe all what she's told you. I haven't done much in life. Invisible threads, visible impact. When they told me the subject of today's talk, I just ran through my life to see whether I had made any impact on the people around me. And once I did that, I think I have done a little bit over the last maybe 45, 50 years. I joined cinema at a very young age when I was 17. I've been in the industry for the last almost 50 years now. I started off as a cinematographer, became a director, became a producer, became an actor. I've done television, I've done ad films, I've done documentaries, and most of my work has been in Tamil cinema. Even though I'm from Kerala, born in Kerala, all my work, both in films and television, has been in Tamil. Except for one English film that I did called Mitra, My Friend, which won 3 national awards, including a national award for me as a producer in 2002. Out of the box is a word that you will hear a lot in my talk today. I believe in thinking out of the box. I also believe in doing what I think. So as far as cinema or media is concerned, in 1986, when television was not so popular, there were no private channels, there was only Doordarshan. The quality of dramas used to be pretty sad to say. We did a serial called Amlu. So when we decided to do the serial, we said we had to be different from what is coming now. So we had baby Shalini, who was a very popular child artist, as the main protagonist. We packed it with other artists in each of the episodes. And for the first time in television serials in Tamil, we had Shankar Ganesh who did music. We had 6 songs. It was totally different from what was coming in the rest of the time during the Doordarshan. Again in 1989, we did our second serial called Iravellur Pagal. That serial, we actually shot it on film. We shot it on 16 millimeter. We shot it 40 days in a rubber estate in Kerala. And since at that time they didn't have a technical way of converting film into tape or video, we had to do that in Mumbai. We lost a lot of money on the serial, but the reason we did that is we increased the whole look and feel of a television serial here in Tamil. The invisible thread in that was the serial that we did. The visible impact was that the serials that came after us, the producers, the directors, had to live up to a certain standard of quality. And we were very lucky that the serial that came after us was a legendary Mr. K. Balachandra, Paramadesam. And he couldn't do a product that was inferior in quality to a small filmmaker like Suresh Menon. So overall, the entire quality of production on Doordarshan increased. That I would consider a visible impact of what we had done. When I decided to direct my first film, we chose a slightly different subject on plastic surgery and family emotions. And again, it was a subject a lot of people told me that the Tamil audience wouldn't understand. But I feel that the audience is much more brilliant than all us filmmakers. They know exactly what works, what doesn't work. And we would be fools to try and say that this is what the audience wants. That film was a milestone in the sense that it was A.R. Rahman's second film after Roja. We had a young art director called Sabu Cyril. It was his first film. He went on to do massive productions like Bahubali, a lot of other Shankar and Maniratnam films. I took the story to a lot of heroes, but all of them were very reluctant to work with a new director. So eventually I ended up acting in the film. I feel I'm a terrible actor, but anyway, the film was successful. Again, it was a subject that was different, that enabled the younger filmmakers or directors to think out of the box. I think that was a visible impact that Pudiyamugam made. Running a public listed company is a terrible idea for a creative person, especially like me. So I sold the company in 2005, and I thought I would retire in the beautiful backwaters of Kerala. I went to Alapi, I designed a houseboat from cutting down the what we call Anjali Maram, which is a jackfruit tree. I built a 100 feet by 15 feet houseboat. Again, how could I do it differently? Those days, all the houseboats were actually rice boats that were converted for people to come and stay. They had tiny bedrooms, 10 feet by 10 feet. They had barred windows. Night, they had to park it somewhere on the side of the lake. You used to get killed by mosquitoes. So when I designed the boat, I said all these minuses will make sure that it's not there in the boat. We had the boat entirely air conditioned. We had large glass panes, not a single iron rod. I had a 20 kilowatt generator on board. I did a RO plant on the boat, which is actually take the lake water and make it drinking water. Again, it was totally different from the houseboats that were there. The visible impact is over the last 10, 12 years, almost every houseboat is following the same style of designing or making a houseboat. Other than this, I don't know, I had something that I feel I need to give back to society. I did an interesting design of toilets in old shipping containers. I took these old shipping containers, 20-foot containers. The containers are 20 feet by 8 feet. I designed 5 bathrooms in them. So each bathroom was 8 feet by 4 feet. And each bathroom had a potty, a wash basin, and a shower. So 5 women could actually have a bath in privacy or use the toilet in privacy, which all of us here in the city probably don't realize. For a rural woman to actually go out for their daily needs, they have to go out before sunrise or wait till sunset. They need to hold on during the day, ending up with infections and everything else. And as usual, enthusiastically, I went and contacted the authorities, the ministers, the people who take decisions, and there's absolutely zero response from them. So finally, a couple of NGOs picked up the toilets that I'd done, and they fixed it in a village called Manchakudi, which is near Kumbakonam. So we had to take the container by crane and fix it there. So the NGO actually gave the keys to the women of the village. And they said, as long as you keep it clean, the toilet stays here, otherwise Suresh will bring his crane and take it off. So the women were interested in, looking after the toilet or keeping it clean, which is the most important thing in any sanitation. So again, I didn't make any money on that. But a journalist went and interviewed the women who were actually around the toilet and were using the toilet. And in the article, there's an 8-year-old girl who says, for the first time in our lives, we were able to go to school like the other children after having a bath. And that one line is enough. I mean, whether I made money, I didn't make money. This is something that I have made a difference in somebody's life. Again, a visible impact of something very, very small. So in spite of that, I actually designed a bus stop out of a 40-foot container, which would have a toilet on either end. I mean, imagine a road like OMR, which has got 40 bus stops. Every 500 meters, you have this bus stop with 2 toilets. How much cleaner the city would be. And we spoke to a few companies. All the IT companies are willing to bring it under the CSR, so CapEx was not a problem. The advertising revenue on the bus stops would pay for the maintenance. You could get 30 to 40,000 rupees per bus stop per month. Again, I took it to the authorities and who was decision makers. Again, nothing happened. The idea is still there. Anybody wants to do it, maybe outside Crescent or anything, it's still something that can be done. I think the most important visible impact I've made, but doing it invisibly over the last 10, 12 years is traffic planning. People ask me, how do you get this idea of traffic planning? I said, I have absolutely no clue. Like God gives somebody a musical genius, or they sing well, or they play the violin well. I have been given this thing about a problem solving or out of the box ideas. So whatever comes, I put it out there. And I don't have any copyright. I don't do any IPR, nothing. It's available for everybody to use. Anything that I've done, there's nothing that I've actually copyrighted. I started out with the Raj Bhavan roundabout. And my whole funda of traffic planning is how do you make traffic that doesn't stop? How do you keep it moving? Even if it's moving slowly, it has to keep moving. The moment you do that, you're saving time. So rather than roundabout, I don't know how many of you have been through that. Earlier, it used to have 5 signals. When you're coming from the airport to Adyar, you had Spick signal, you had Velacheri signal, you had Rajbhavan signal. Or when you came from Mount Road, you had Little Mount, again Spick signal. So we totally removed all the signals and made it a larger roundabout. So even if you were going 1-2 kilometers extra, you're actually saving 8 to 10 minutes of time. When you're talking of one of the busiest intersections in Chennai, anybody getting out of Chennai towards Trichy had to use that. Anybody going to the airport. So roughly 2.5-3 lakh vehicles were using that junction alone. A lot of people don't realize that if you save 10-12 minutes of traveling time in a car or a vehicle, you're saving 1 liter of petrol, which is today 100 rupees. So over the last maybe 12 years since that has been done, this idea has probably saved citizens of Chennai over 10,000 crores. I mean, that figure might seem enormous for some small thing like this where we haven't built a flyover, where we haven't built a new road. But this is the kind of visible impact that even small ideas can do. Again, I kept going back to the traffic police, to the secretaries of government, whoever the people were in charge. Sometimes they listened, sometimes they didn't. For almost 8-10 years, there was absolutely nothing done. Then again, I gave them an idea about the Tyrol Park Junction, which was again a large junction, which 10-12 minutes used to get stuck. I gave them a solution in 2012, which is almost 14 years back. I did nothing for 6-7 years. Then with the same 2 U-turns, they announced 2 flyovers at 110 crores. What could have probably been done less than 1 crore. And it took 5 years to finish that. The last few couple of years has been good because we had some interesting officers there who were keen on doing good work. So the last 1 year, we have done quite a few junctions. To take the Kamakshi Hospital junction, which again was a total bottleneck. Anybody going from OMR or ECR to the airport used to get stuck for 10-15 minutes rush hour. To do a solution I've given, you actually go through in 2 or 3 minutes. And the biggest large chunk that my ideas have been implemented is the OMR. From Navalu to Madhya Kailash, or reverse if you take it. There are about 2.5-3 lakh vehicles that travel that road every day. And now metro work is going on. The entire middle median of the road is blocked by the metro. Construction is almost 10-12 feet on either side being blocked. So I suggested to them that they remove all the traffic signals there and actually do U-turns. So we have done U-turns from Navalu right up to Madhya Kailash. And everybody using the road during rush hour is saving almost half an hour one way. That's almost an hour every day for somebody working in saving. Again, you convert that into monetary terms, you're talking of 1,500 crores a year. You're talking of 3-4 crores a day that is being saved. There's not only money that's being saved, there's millions of man hours. If you look at all the IT companies, there are youngsters working there. So much of time, and that is productive hour time. It's not sleeping time. The 1 hour that they were spending in a car, they could do work that is productive for the company, for family, for society. And the amount of pollution that we have been able to reduce. So this is the kind of, I don't know, maybe typical of the topic of invisible threads and visible impact. I'm sure not one person sitting here knew that I've done this. But I'm a very private person. If you go into YouTube or you go into Google search me, you'll hardly find any articles, you'll hardly find any interviews. So I have silently been doing this, hoping and keeping. My friends always ask me, especially when the time 7-8 years when nothing happened, why do you waste your time? I need to get this message across. I have to go to the secretary, stand in queue for 20 minutes, get a pass, go inside, request for a meeting. And this is something that I'm doing good for society, not something for myself. I'm not a businessman who's making money. I said, if I can make a difference in somebody's life, and I have the opportunity to do so, why not? I mean, that time I probably spend watching Netflix or Amazon or, scrolling through Instagram, which doesn't make any sense. This is much more impactful. So keeping all this in mind, I've actually started a film or actually done a film called Guru the Mentor. But I feel that today's Gen Z generation requires a motivation and inspiration that we can achieve or we can do. Personally, I feel India is the best place to do business today. And kids don't need to go to Dubai or US or UK. We have the opportunities to do stuff. So stories, I pick up 20 kids from small town Tamil Nadu, 10 boys, 10 girls, and I mentor them through 2 years about entrepreneurship is the opportunities that India offers. Where end of the film, I had 10 successful boys and 10 successful girls who have learned how easy. You don't have to be an IIM, you don't have to be an IIT, you don't need rocket science. With simple business sense and a good mentor, you can do wonders in India today. So this basically, I'm the wrong person to be standing here. I hate talking about myself, but since the topic was that, so whoever has heard this, believe that, especially the youngsters, and today's Gen Z generation, I don't think many of you are interested in listening to these old boomer uncles and aunties talking. That's why I see hardly any of you here. But believe that there's something more than just scrolling on phones and, Instagram and Twitter and social media. There's much more out there. Go out, explore, talk to older people. They had an experience. Don't consider them that, their ideas are not valid today anymore. There's a lot that we can achieve, not only for ourselves, but also for the country as such, for our society as such, for our city as such. Even it could be maybe outside your college. I gave them a solution when students Kilambakam bus stand opened, there used to be a huge jam here. I gave them a solution for that. They haven't implemented it. They have chosen a different route, which is slightly more expensive. But all of us can make that difference. I think we need to believe that, and all the senior experienced people need to get it across to the kids that working together, we can achieve a lot. Thank you.